We are at chapter 10, Technique of Hearing and Remembering. So we are continuing with the till yesterday we completed 42 Angas of Bhakti. So we are going to continue from 43rd Angas, 43rd onwards. If you go through this one, so there are another Angas. Today we'll discuss about Sravanam, hearing the name, form, quality, pastime of the Lord. Then hearing about Lord is essentially one is not. We'll discuss all these things. So total, we'll discuss today another 17 Angas of Bhakti till observing festivals, celebrating the Lord's activity and all. Okay. So we'll start with hearing. The beginning of Krishna consciousness and devotional service is hearing. In Sankirtan called Sravanam. So as Prahlad Maharaj has mentioned, what is the ninth process of devotional service? So it begins with Sravanam, Sravanam Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasim, Sakti Mati. He says that. So Sravanam is the first one. So all people should be given a chance to come and join devotional parties so that they may hear. So if you see why Prabhupada has constructed this big temple and all, to give a facilities to people in general, to give a facility of hearing and chanting for people in general. Even anyone come to the temple, Kirtan is going on, at least they hear the Kirtan. They hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So even if knowingly and unknowingly they hear, they will develop a Gyasupati. So once upon a time, I think Prabhupada was in Hawaii, and so his accommodation was in five-star hotel. So the reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, you are sannyasi, then why are you staying in this five-star hotel? You should stay in hut. Prabhupada replied, I'm happy to stay in any place. I'm happy. I'm more happy to stay in the hut. But if I stay in the hut, people like you will not come and hear me. That's why I'm staying in the five-star hotel so that all of you can come and hear. So whatever he's doing, the purpose is to create a facility for hearing and chanting. So this hearing is very important for progress in Krishna consciousness. The one who links his ears to the transcendental vibration, to oral reception, quickly becomes purified and cleansed in the heart. So hearing is very powerful. The Lord Chaitanya has affirmed that this hearing is very important and cleans the heart of contaminated soul so that he becomes quickly qualified to enter into devotional service and understand Krishna consciousness. Even at our home, we should always keep mild kirtan, proper taps. If someone here, they will be purified, knowing them. So in Garupuna, the stress on hearing is expressed very nicely. It is said that the state of conditioned life in the material world is just like that of man lying unconscious. If someone is not following spirituality, so that means that person is unconscious and having bitten by snake. This is because both such an unconscious state can be ended by the sound of mantras. If someone is bitten by snake and is unconscious, he can be reawakened by making hear the sound vibration. So when man is snake bitten, he does not die immediately, but first become unconscious and remain in comatose condition. So anyone who is in the material world is also sleeping, as is ignorant of his actual self or his actual duty and is and his relationship with the God. So, if someone is ignorant of his actual self or actual duty, and his relationship with the God is also called sleeping or unconscious person. So, materialistic life means that one is bitten by the snake of Maya illusion, and thus, without any Krishna consciousness, is almost dead. So, if someone is materialist, means is bitten by Maya, snake of Maya. Now, the so-called dead man bitten by snake can be brought back to life by chanting some mantra. There are expert chanters of those mantra who can perform this feat. Similarly, one can be brought back into Krishna consciousness from the deadly unconscious state of material life by hearing of Mahamantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. So they can be brought back. Basically, the person who is afflicted by Maya is compared with dead man because he doesn't know the purpose of his life. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Bharat Pariksit was told by Sukdev Goswami that, my dear king, one should stay at a place where the great acharyas speak about the transcendental activities of Lord. And one should give oral reception to the nectar and river flowing from the moonlight faces of the great personality. If someone eagerly continues to hear such a transcendental sound, then certainly will become free from all material hunger, thirst, fear, and lamentation. If you want to free from material hunger, thirst, fear, and lamentation, as well as illusion of material existence, then we should hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is again said in Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. Srunvatam Swakatha Krishna Priya Savana Kirtana Vidan the story of Badrani Vidunati. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also recommend this process of hearing as a means of self-revelation in the present age of Kali. So this Ramanam is very important in Kali Yuga. So in this age, it is very difficult to follow thoroughly the regulative principle and study of Veda, which were formally recommended. However, if one gives oral reception to sound vibrated by great devotee and Acharya, that alone will give him relief from material contamination. Just giving oral reception. Therefore, it is recommended, this recommendation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that one should simply hear from authorities who are actually devotee of the Lord. Hearing from the professional man will not help. If we hear from those who are actually self-realized, then nectar and rivers like those which are flowing in the moon planet will flow into our ears. This metaphor is used in the book. Hearing the professional man is not just like sometimes many people do Bhagavad Sapta just for earning their livelihood. So hearing from this kind of people is not recommended. If they organize Bhagavad Sapta, so when you see their banner, so rather than finding Krishna's photo, you found their big photos, big pictures have been put there. And Krishna's photo is very small. So their agenda is to promote themselves on the name of Krishna. So we should be very careful from such a people. That's why it is not recommended to hear Bhagavatam from professional reciters. In Bhagavad Gita, they said a materialistic person can give up this material hankering only by becoming situated in Krishna consciousness. So actually, any kind of Krishna you have that can be satisfied by through the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. The only thing is that we should regularly be doing all these things. Unless one finds superior engagement, and of course, you should do this regularly, and of course, Maya will trick you so that you will not do it regularly. Some other means she'll give you so that you will skip reading. So that is the trick of Maya. So you should not miss reading and hearing. I remember, like, when I was in the beginning of Krishna consciousness, I think since 2013 or 12, or maybe 12, 16, not a single day I missed hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, daily 30 minutes. And after that, one day I missed. उस दिन से कभी कभी इतनी बार मिस हो जाता है, then I feel, not nourished. So I have realized that as soon as I miss hearing, I feel that I'm not in connection with Krishna. You should not miss hearing and reading. Unless I remember one of my friends he was in Japan, one of the company. So how he has completed his reading of Srila Prabhupada's book, every 30 minutes, every half an hour, he used to go in the toilet, and in the toilet was reading 5 minutes from mobile. So I remember just before starting this class, uh, I was reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Sorry, Chaitanya Charitamrita. I was reading that Mahaprabhu's South India tour. And it's 1 hour. I thought, एक घंटे में क्या पढ़ लूंगा. Then I just sat 1 hour and I could read 40 pages. I could not imagine. And that also with word by word meaning, translation and purport, everything. 40 pages. So then, that Prabhu, he was in Japan. What was he doing? Every 30 minutes, he used to go in the toilet, and that every 30 minutes means he was spending 5 minutes for reading, sitting in the toilet, where people pass the school, and he stand there. He open his mobile and read for 5 minutes. So in Japan, 8 hours means uh, how many 5 minutes you will get such a thing? 80 minutes you are getting, means 1.5 hour, almost 1 hour 20 minutes you are getting to read. And sometimes in Japan people work for 9 hours, 10 hours. So easily you get 1.5 hour to read. 1.5 hour reading means if you're a regular reader, so you can easily read 20 minutes, 20 pages per 1 hour. If you are like reading everything verse, then word for word, translation and purport, every single word you are reading, and you're not reading word for word, just translation and purport and so, and you can read more. That way he has completed whole Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's why it is said, if you want to read, we'll read anyway. ऐसा तो होगा नहीं, हम फैमिली में भी रहते हैं पूरे दिन परिवार वाले साथ में रहते, ऐसा कभी हो ही नहीं सकता. कुछ ना कुछ तो ट्रिक मिल ही जाएगा सोते वक्त. मुझे तो याद है, like I remember before coming to Krishna consciousness, during the exam time. So पहले क्रिकेट मैच आती थी. I remember when I was in the 12th. So during the exam time there was India Pakistan match. So now what to do? घर वाले डांटेंगे, but I was very confident that पढ़ूंगा या ना पढ़ूंगा एग्जाम के दिन मेरा एग्जाम अच्छा जाएगा. So I was confident. And even, of course, my exam went good, but on the day of exam, सो जाते थे तो क्या करते थे, like cover your body through chadar, then put a earphone, then you hear radio पे स्कोर सुनते थे. So that way we are, listening whole match. So nowadays when we come to talk about Bhagavatam, we find some excuse. Anyway, so if you want to do, we can do anyway. Otherwise, we'll give excuse. Anyway, okay, in some emergency situation that is different thing, but definitely we get a way to do all this thing. Okay, so it's about how we approach, what's our attitude. कुछ ना कुछ करके तो हो ही जाता है. So that way you imagine that person who has completed whole Srimad Bhagavatam, means in toilet. So unless one find a superior engagement, he will not be able to give up his inferior engagement. In the material world, everyone is engaging illusory activities of inferior energy. But when one is given the opportunity to release the activities of superior energy performed by Krishna, then he forgot all the lesser pleasure. And one more thing, I remember when I was working, I was sent to Simla on my uh, on post on field duty in Simla, and I was given accommodation with person who were drinking and all, and I was in ISKCON. I don't know what to do. अभी उनके सामने आरती कैसे करें ना शिमला में 4:30 बजे whole night dark and so forest, not proper Simla, it's 5 kilometers away from Simla, and you see the coniferous tree and full forest, dense forest. What to do? Then I was, सबको पता था that I wake up early in the morning. Then so I was waking up by 4 o'clock. Then I used to go to toilet. Then in bathroom I was putting the photo of the Lord, and I was telling the Lord, please forgive me, what to do. I'm in such a situation that I don't want to disclose everyone. Then I was doing the arti there in the toilet. Anyway, so it happened for 1 month like that. Then, at 6 or 5 o'clock, 5:30, some light comes. Then, I was just telling that I go for walk. So Simla means weather is cold. So I always used to carry shawl. So शॉल के अंदर बेड बैग रख के जब करते थे 1 घंटा 2 घंटा उधर बैठ के आते थे. Anyway, so we should try to find out the way how we can do. So unless one finds the superior engagement, he will not be able to give up his inferior engagement. And even many people give argument that we have traveling, it's very difficult to do and all. But I remember when I was in Delhi, it was taking 1.5 hours to going office and 1.5 hours to coming from office. So क्या करना चाहिए, how to read 3 hours only. The metro, just पोल पे ऐसे चिपक जाते थे, छोटी छोटी किताब लेके जाते थे. We used to read that way. Then I remember the Fakir Samrut Maharaj, they were doing a book distribution. So when they were traveling in the local, so hectic. तो पूरा ऐसे रख के चैतन्य चरितमृत ऐसे टॉप पे रख के पूरा पढ़ते थे. That way he read Bhagavad Gita more than 100 times. Chaitanya Charitamrita many times. So that is required. Anyway, so if he want to do, he can do anyway. So unless one finds superior engagement, he will not be able to give up his inferior engagement. In the material world, everyone is engaged in the illusory activities of inferior energy. But when one is given opportunity to release the activities of the superior energy performed by Krishna, then he forget all his lesser pleasure. When Krishna speaks on the battlefield of Kurukshetra to the materialistic person, it appears that this is simply a talk between two friends, but actually it is a river of nectar flowing down from the mouth of Sri Krishna. And Arjuna gave oral reception to such a vibration that he became free from all illusion and material problems. So we should try to hear attentively. Srimad Bhagavatam said, a person who desires unalloyed devotional service to Lord Krishna, who is praised by transcendental sound vibration, should always hear about his glorification and transcendental qualities. So this will surely kill all kind of inauspiciousness in the heart. If you ask in Krishna consciousness, why are you, how they could sustain in Krishna consciousness for so long? If you ask them, they daily hear 30 minutes Srila Prabhupada, one lecture, minimum one lecture of Srila Prabhupada. Almost 1800 lectures are there. So that's if you almost 2000, including room conversation and all those things, beach walk and all those things. So 2000. So almost 6 years it will take. Say 65 into 6. So around that. Okay, so that is about hearing. So hearing is very, very important. So another is expecting Lord's mercy. So let's go through this one. Yeah, so there are three type of hearing: Nam Shravan, so hearing the name, the Garupuna second. So then Charitra Shravan, hearing about the past time, one become free from hunger, thirst, and lamentation. So Parikshit Maharaj become free from hunger, thirst, and lamentation just by hearing. He is a great example. And of course, he was cursed to die within 7 days. The Gunadi Shravana, hearing about the qualities, such a hearing will feel inauspiciousness in the heart. So, snake bite analogy, we saw that if someone is bitten by snake, he become unconscious and he can be awakened from the unconsciousness state by hearing the mantra. Similarly, the person in the material world who are not involved in spiritual activities are also considered as a dead or unconscious person who are bitten by the snake of Maya, and they can also be awakened by the hearing of the glories of Lord Krishna or mantra. Okay. Then we discuss about, so Sukdev Goswami compares the Krishna Katha to river of nectar that flow from the moonlight face of pure devotee and are drunk heartily through the years, causing intoxicating joy and ever-present spiritual vigor. So that is the effect of that. So next is expecting mercy of Lord Krishna. That is the 44th. So in 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord says that, Brahmaji said, 14th chapter and 8th verse, Brahmaji, it's prayers of Brahma. So where he has Tattvenu Kampa Susamikshama, that verse. So he says, my dear Lord, any person, and we have discussed this verse many times. Okay? So my dear Lord, any person is constantly awaiting your causeless mercy to be bestowed upon him. So we have to eagerly wait that, okay, Lord will bestow his mercy. Let me continue devotional service. Even sometimes we don't get the mercy in a short duration or maybe within 1 year, 2 year, but we should eagerly wait. We should eagerly wait for the mercy of the Lord. And eagerly waiting the mercy of the Lord, what we do? Not that we should just wait and stand. No. What we have to do? And whose uh, my dear Lord, any person is constantly awaiting your causeless mercy to be bestowed upon him. And parallelly, what he is doing? He goes on suffering the resultant action of his past misdeeds. So he is suffering. So he consider himself that he is suffering because of his past karma. So that is for self-application. Self-application. Someone is so much in trouble. I'll not tell it's because of your karma. I cannot tell that way. But it's for self-application, self-purification. So it's for our understanding. So we should be careful where for what we speak. If someone is suffering, someone is dying, we should not directly say it's karma, yes, die. So that is for our understanding and our conviction, so that we don't become uh, what's affect. We will not be affected by all these things. So saying karma and all those things for self-purification, self-application. Of course, so while preaching, we say that is different thing, but someone is real difficult. And when he become peaceful, then we can explain nicely, proper state of mind. Okay. Till that time, we should tell, that okay, you understand. We should pacify him nicely. We should be careful where we should keep. So sometimes in devotee come to bhakti and devotee is suffering. I'll narrate one incident. What happened that one person, he was a nice devotee and someone helped him to marry. And what happened that उनको बोला, with lady who had married, with whom he had married, the whole character was profound good. After marriage, they found out that that lady was earlier she was married. She has children, two children with that lady, sir, with that husband. And now this person went to his whoever, whomever he was connected, and those told him it's your karma, suffering. That's good for my own understanding, but we should, specify in different way. We cannot just say that way. So that's for our own understanding. So we have to specify what to do and specify, okay, we understand. अभी हो गया तो क्या करे? It's different way of speaking. Okay. So what happened that parallelly awaiting mercy of the Supreme Lord, parallelly we have to suffer the resultant action of past misdeeds. Whatever suffer means we are enjoying or suffering, whatever. Offering a respectful obeisance, offering you respectful obeisance from the core of his heart. So we are eagerly waiting for the mercy. Then we are suffering the resultant action of the past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisance from the core of his heart. Okay, so many times what we do, so if something happened, the general tendency of the people is that, you know, just they blame others that आपकी वजह से ऐसा हो गया, ऐसा हो गया, ऐसा हो गया. So we should, before telling someone else, we should consult to authority and all that. Hope that this is my understanding. Hope I'm not speculating. Am I right? So I remember I was dealing one particular case, and before I give judgment, I have to ask so many people. Hope this my understanding is right, and I have to tell. Anyway, it happened. So we cannot just conclude or anything. So what happened? So three things. We have to eagerly wait the costless mercy of the Supreme Lord, and we should go on suffering the resultant action of our past misdeed. And third is we should offer our respectful obeisance to the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the core of our heart. Then what will happen then? If someone does this thing, is surely eligible to become liberated. Is surely eligible to become liberated. For it has become his rightful claim. Now, if he does this thing, then it becomes his rightful claim. Just like, son has rightful claim on the father's property. Similarly, someone does this thing, this will become his rightful claim. Liberation will become his rightful claim. So three things we have to do. Constantly awaiting the costless mercy of the Lord, and we have to go on suffering the resultant, and one has to go on suffering the resultant action of his past misdeed, and offering the respectful obeisances from the core of his heart. That's very, very important. So this statement is the guide. It should be the guide for all the devotees. If he implements, so this is personally, I should also implement. I'm not telling you, but this is for personal implementation. That if you implement that way, then you find that society will become peaceful. Everyone is working on themselves to purify themselves. The society will automatically become peaceful. But nowadays we don't have this understanding. So earlier in Gurukula, to brahmacharis and Mata, when the girls were small, so they were taught the lesson of chastity and all those things. So for men it was brahmacharya and for women it was chastity. So they were taught the principle of tolerating, how to tolerate. Brahmacharya means tolerating the urges of sex desire and all. You have to tolerate these urges, and if then anger comes, so many things come. If this will not be fulfilled, yeah, they require that great power of tolerance. Similar way, if someone wants to remain sati, chaste, then they require a lot of tolerance. They have been taught this principle. It is said, even for us also, those who are staying in the ashram, they have been taught that if you want to sustain in the ashram, just have to tolerate. Agitation should be tolerated. You should tolerate all the agitations. Someone's criticize you, you have to tolerate. So if you have sustain, so they have a definitely great power of tolerance. So devotee should not expect immediate relief from the reaction of his past misdeed. So we should not expect, but God will immediately relieve. That is different thing. So as soon as we perform bhakti, we are relieved from the reaction of sinful activity. But our desire is not yet control, is not diverted towards proper direction. So that create another reaction. Okay. So we should not expect. It doesn't mean that Lord will not give you. I don't expect doesn't mean that other person will not give. We should not expect the relief from. We should not expect immediate relief from the action, from the reaction of his from the past misdeed. It doesn't mean that Lord will not free us. So no conditioned soul is free from such a reactionary experience because material existence means continue suffering or enjoying of past activities. Hmm. माम उपेत्य तु पंतेय दुखालय माम उपेत्य तु पुनर्जन्म दुखालय शाश्वतम नानुत्नवन्ति महात्मान संसिद्धिं परमार्थम्. So if someone is liberated, it doesn't require to come in this world of dukhalaya. If one has finished his material activities, then there is no more birth. It's possible only when one begins Krishna conscious activities because such activities do not produce reaction. Therefore, as soon as one becomes perfect in Krishna conscious activity, it's not going to take birth again in the material world. If you do any activity apart from Krishna consciousness, that will ensure that will take birth. Okay, and then death. Then yeah, so बीच के दो cycle है, जरा व्याधि will be there. A devotee is not perfectly freed from the resultant actions, should therefore continue to act in Krishna consciousness seriously. Even though there may be so many impediments, कितना भी impediments आएंगे, sometimes if you do some by mistake something wrong happened or forcefully someone make us to do wrong, we should regret, but we should not regret that much that we'll be away from Krishna consciousness. Because if we end up doing some sinful activity, remedies to perform Krishna conscious only will hear that. So even we heard that, I think that even someone has done some sinful activity, the remedy is that he does not require to do so much great austerity and all those. He simply has to continue with Krishna consciousness. So very simple. When such an impediments arise, he should simply think of Krishna and expect his mercy. So basically, every step is opportunity to surrender to Krishna. That is the only solace. If the devotee passes days in that spirit, he is certain that he is going to be promoted to the abode of the Lord. So every impediments is opportunity to surrender to Krishna. Yes, I narrated one story, right? एक दिन हमारा कोई प्रोग्राम था, रात को सर्वर बंद हो गया, क्या करें? 12 o'clock को बंद हुआ, सुबह 6 बजे प्रोग्राम and it takes 24 hours. It was IP configuration. So then I had 3 hours I just decided to mess up with so intensity. And सुबह 6 o'clock program था, 5:55 शुरू हो गया. I could not understand how. But इतने intensity से कभी प्रार्थना ही नहीं की. So it happens. So Lord has taught that should depend on Him. We are not the controller; He is the controller. So we should depend on Him. Okay. So by such activities, he earns his claim to enter into the kingdom of God. The exact word used in this verse is Daya Bhav. Daya Bhav referred to the sons becoming the lawful inheritary of the property of the father. In similar way, a pure devotee is prepared to undergo all kind of tribulation in executing Krishna consciousness duties, become lawfully qualified to enter into the transcendental abode. So he become lawfully qualified to enter into transcendental abode. Okay. So anyway, let me go move fast. Now I think remembrance, some way or other, if someone establishes in his mind his continuous relationship with Krishna, this relationship is called remembrance. So If all of you might have remembered in lecture of instruction, we discussed this, I think. In which chapter? Sixth. Uh, Smaran Avastha, Varan Avastha, Shravan Avastha, Varan Avastha. In Smaran Avastha, in Smaran Avastha, there are 5 categories. So we discuss all. Anyway, I'm not going there. But hmm. So in the neophyte stage, one should always engage in hearing Krishna Katha. This is called Shravana Dasa, the stage of hearing. By constantly hearing the transcendental holy name of Krishna and hearing of his transcendental form, quality, and pastime, one can attain to the stage of acceptance. As if you continuously hear, you will accept. Varan means you accept. Hitler used to say, if you lie enough, if you lie long enough and loud enough, if you lie loud and sorry, if you lie long enough and loud enough, it will be considered as a truth. So if you hear constantly about Krishna, after some time you'll accept. Okay. That is called Varan Dasa. And when one attains this stage, he becomes attached to hearing Krishna Katha. So if you want to develop an attachment for hearing Krishna's Katha, then you have to continuously hear. One is able to chant in ecstasy, attain the stage of Smarana Avastha. Okay. The stage of remembering. If you have developed the ruchi for hearing Krishna Katha, after some time, automatically you remember. So in the remembering stage of remembering, so what are the part of the? So in remembering, there is a recollection. Then you absorb yourself. Then meditation. Then constant remembrance and trance. So these are the words. Recollection means you remember for short duration, trying to remember. Then absorb for short time. Then meditation means focusing on something for 12 seconds as per the science, right? And constant remembrance and trance. So trance means samadhi. So are the 5 items of progressive Krishna Smara. Okay. Then if you do this continuously, then that is called Sampati Dasa, the perfection of life. Okay, so then he says that so at first the remembrance of Krishna may be interrupted at intervals, but later remembrance proceed uninterrupted. When remembrance uninterrupted, it becomes concentrated in called meditation. And when meditation expands and becomes constant, it is called Anusmriti. And by uninterrupted, unceasing Anusmriti, one enters the stage of Samadhi or spiritual trance. After Smarana Dasa or Samadhi has fully developed, the soul comes to understand his original constitutional position. At that time, he can perfectly and clearly understand his eternal relationship with Krishna. That is called Sampati Dasa, the perfection of life. This is a very important paragraph. I'm sharing with all of you in chat. Okay, so let's move ahead fast. It's almost 7:47. There was almost the yes. So that is the remembrance. So hope you understood. So about this remembrance, there is nice statement in Vishnu Puran where it is said, Simply by remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all living entities become eligible for all kind of auspiciousness. Therefore, let me always remember the Lord who is unborn and eternal. In the Padma Purana, the same remembrance is explained as follows. Let me offer my respectful obeisance unto Supreme Lord Krishna, because if someone remembers him, either at the time of death or during his span of life, he becomes free from sinful, all sinful reaction. Just by remembering Lord, we can be free from this all sinful reaction. Meditation. To meditate means to engage the mind in thinking on thinking of the form of the Lord, the qualities of the Lord, not only form, but of course form, quality of the Lord, activities of the Lord, Nam, Roop, Lila, Gun, okay, and service of the Lord. Meditation does not mean anything impersonal or void. According to Vedic literature, meditation is always on the form of Vishnu. In the Narsimha Purana, it is said that meditation focusing on the lotus feet of the Supreme Person of Godhead has been accepted as transcendental and beyond the experience of material pain and pleasure. By such a meditation, even one who is grossly miscreant can be delivered from the sinful reaction of his life. Yes, in Vishnu Dharma, it is said that person who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness and who remember the transcendental qualities of the Lord become free from all reaction of sinful activity, and after becoming so cleansed, they become fit to enter into the kingdom of God. So no one can enter into the kingdom of God without being free from the sinful reaction. One can avoid sinful reaction simply by remembering the Lord's Nam, Roop, Lila, Gun, and Charitra. So, okay, so in the Padma Purana, there is a statement: a person who is always engaged in meditation of the sweet pastime and wonderful activities of Lord surely becomes free from all material contamination. Okay, so in some of the Puran, the evidence is given that someone is simply meditating on the devotional activities, he has achieved the desired result and has been face to face, has seen the face to face the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply by remember, so meditating the devotional activities. So in this connection, there is a story. Just by meditating, sometimes what happens that we are not able to execute devotional service because of some reason, some family issues or some physical issues or maybe physical limitation, whatever, we may not be able to execute devotional service. Then what we should do? So that story is coming here. Please read this carefully or listen this carefully. It's very, very important. So in this connection, so this is for those, there are so many objections at the house. So they can limit you physically, but they cannot limit you mentally. You have to understand from this story. Okay. So Krishna is not limited to physical things. He is beyond these things. So story is this. There is a story in the Brahma Vaivarta Purana that in the city of Pratishtanpur in South India, there was once a Brahmana who was not very well to do, but who was nevertheless satisfied himself, thinking that it was uh, because of his past misdeed and by the desire of Krishna that he did not get sufficient money and opulence. If someone has limitation of money, someone has a problem with the family, someone has a physical limitation. So he was not at all sorry for his poor material position. And he used to live very peacefully. He was living very peacefully. He was very open-hearted, and sometimes he went to hear some lectures delivered by great realized soul. So at such a meeting, while he was very faithfully hearing about Vaishnava activity, he was informed that these activities can be performed even by meditation. Even you can perform devotional service by meditation. You can offer the arti in meditation. Okay. So in other words, if person is unable to actually perform Vaishnava activities physically, he can meditate upon the Vaishnava activities and thereby acquire all same result. So that's why Krishna consciousness is absolute. If you do physically or if you do mentally, same thing. With proper consciousness, you get the same result. Because the Brahmana was not very well to do financially, he decided that he would simply meditate on a grand royal devotional activity. So he was meditating that he's performing this kind of bhakti, that kind of this way he's serving the Lord. And he began this business thus. He was doing this way. Sometimes he would take his bath in the river Godavari. So he was meditating. Huh? He was meditating, he's taking a bath in the river Godavari. After taking his bath, he would sit on the secluded place on the bank of river. So he's meditating. And by practicing yoga exercise of pranayama, the usual breathing exercise, he would concentrate his mind. His breathing exercises are meant to mechanically fix the mind upon particular object. That is the result of the breathing exercise and also of different sitting posture of yoga. So yoga and yam niyam asan pranayam pratyahar. Yam niyam asan pranayam. All those things are physical activity for, which help us to focus our mind on one object. Then pranayam pratyahar dharana and sama. Pranayam pratyahar yam niyam asan pranayam pratyahar dhyan, dharana, and samadhi. So these are subtle, more mental level. Formally, even quite ordinary person used to know how to fix the mind upon remembrance of the Lord. And so Brahmana was doing this. When he had fixed the form of the Lord in his mind, he began to imagine in his meditation that he was dressing the Lord very nicely in the costly clothes. He's just meditating that is dressing the Lord so nicely with ornament, helmet, paraphernalia. Then he offered his respectful obeisance by bowing down before the Lord. After finishing the dressing, he began to imagine that he was cleaning the temple very nicely. After cleansing the temple, he imagined that he had many water jugs made of gold and silver, and he took all those jugs to the river and filled them with the holy water. Not only did he collect water from the Godavari, but he collected from the Ganga, Yamuna, Narmada, Kaveri. Okay. So generally, Vaishnava, while worshipping the Lord, collects water from all these rivers by mantra chanting. This Brahmana, instead of chanting some mantra, imagine that he was physically securing water from all these rivers in golden and silver water pots. Then he collected all kind of paraphernalia for worship, flower, food, incense, sandalwood, pearl. He collected everything to place before the deity. And all this water, flower, scented articles were then very nicely offered to deities to their satisfaction. Then he offered arti, and with the regulative principle, he finished all these activities in the correct worshipping mood. Okay. Then he offered arti with the regulative principle, and with the regulative principle, he finished all these activities in correct worshipping method. So he would daily execute similar performance as his routine work. He continued to do so for many years. Then one day Brahmana imagined in his meditation that he had prepared some sweet rice with milk and sugar. You might have heard this story. He offered the preparation to the deity. However, he was not very satisfied with the offering because the sweet rice had been prepared recently and it was very hot. This preparation sweet rice should not be taken hot. The cooler the sweet rice, the better is the taste. So because the sweet rice had been prepared by Brahmana very recently, he wanted to touch it so that he could know whether it has been fit for eating by the Lord. So as soon as he touched the sweet rice pot with his finger, he immediately was burned by the heat of the pot. So this happened. He saw that he is burned by the hot pot. So he saw this in a dream. Sorry, he saw within mind. So in this way, his meditation broke. Now when he looked at his finger, he saw that it was burned. He was wondering astonishment how this could have happened. Because he was simply meditating on touching the hot sweet rice, he never thought that his finger would actually become burnt. Okay. So while he was thinking this, in Vaikuntha, Lord Narayana, seated with goddess of fortune Lakshmi, began to smile humorously. On seeing this smiling of the Lord, all goddess of fortune attending the Lord became very curious and asked Lord Narayana why he was smiling. The Lord, however, did not reply to their inquisitiveness, but instead immediately sent for Brahmana. What he sent? An airplane sent from Vaikuntha immediately brought, so Vaikuntha Airlines immediately brought Brahmana into Lord Narayana's presence. So Turantaya. When Brahmana was thus present before the Lord and Goddess of Fortune, the Lord explained the whole story. Brahmana was the fortunate enough to get an eternal place in Vaikuntha in the association of the Lord and his Lakshmi. So this shows, what is the lesson? This shows the Lord is all pervading in spite of his being locally situated in his abode. Although the Lord was present in Vaikuntha, he was present also in the heart of Brahmana when he was meditating on the worshipping process. Thus, we can understand that things offered by the devotee, even in meditation, are accepted by the Lord and they help one achieve the desired. So, even we have some limitation, sometimes family problem, financial problem, physical problem. So, this way we can do. So nice, right? So I may start Bhagavad Gita today around 7:20 or something, 8:20 or something. Okay, so this way, we end this chapter, chapter number 10. So hope all of you have understood this thing. I'll continue with chapter 11. Okay, so expecting Lord's mercy. So we discussed this thing. Okay, then Tattenu Kampasu Samikshumana Bhunjena Evatma Tatani Pakan. We discussed this one. My dear Lord, one anyway. So then Smriti Dhyana, remembrance and meditation. So Rupa Dhyana, meditation on Krishna's form, Guna Dhyana, meditation on Krishna's quality, Krida Dhyana, meditation on Krishna's activity, Seva Dhyana, meditation on devotional service to Krishna. So just now we saw the example of meditating on the devotional activities. Then Dhyana, meditating on the Lord, and only tells enduring story of South Indian Brahmans. So just now we recited the story. Okay, so now chapter 11, aspects of devotional service. Let me see if we can finish this part. Okay, so servitorship. So like we know that we can serve Krishna in different relationship, like friendship and all those things. Anyway, so in the opinion of karmis, fruity workers, offering the result of karma is called servitorship. But according to Vaishnava Acharya, like Rupa Goswami, servitorship means constant engagement in some kind of service to Lord. What is the servitorship? Constant engagement. We saw that definition of pure devotional service, right? What is that? Anya Vilasita Sunyam Jnana Karma Jina Anukulyena Krishna Anushilana. Anushilana means constant. Anushilana means constant engagement in devotional service. That is what servitorship. So, since Skanda Purana it is said that those who are attached to ritualistic activity, the four orders of social life and the four orders of spiritual life. Social life means what are those social life? Brahma, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. These are social. And spiritual order of spiritual lives are those sannyas, brahmacharya, grihastha, vanprastha, and sannyas are the spiritual orders of life. So it is said that who are attached to ritualistic activity, the four order of social life and the four order of spiritual life are considered devotees. But when devotees are actually engaged in offering service to the Lord directly, this must be Bhagavatas or pure devotees. Okay, just we are engaged in Varnashram Dharma and ritualistic activity, that is, they may be devotee, but pure devotees are when we directly offer the service to Lord. So those who are engaged in fruity activities or prescribed duties according to four orders of social and spiritual life are not actually pure devotees. We saw that they may have some desires, satam bhaktas, and all those things we had seen in Bhagavad Gita. But still, because they are offering the result of the Lord, offering the result to the Lord, they are accepted as devotees. They are accepted as devotees. So maybe sakam karmi or whatever. When one has so much such a desire but acts spontaneously, Sorry, when one has no such a desire but acts spontaneously out of love of God, such a person must be accepted as pure devotee. So when we don't have any other desire, so that is the definition of pure devotion. The conditioned soul who have come into contact with the material world are all more or less desirous of loading into our material nature. Edam dharyate jagat. The system of Varna and Ashram and the prescribed duties under this system are so designed that conditioned soul may enjoy in the material world according to his desire for sense gratification, at the same time gradually become elevated to the spiritual understanding. So we saw this in Bhagavad Gita 2.31 purport. Two dharmas, two duties, swadharma and sarigrik dharma. We saw that. Under this, so this varnashram is made is a stepping stone for spiritual life. So under this prescribed duties, Varna and Ashram, there are many activities which belong to devotional service and Krishna consciousness. Those devotees who are householder accept Vedic ritualistic performance as well as prescribed duties of devotional service because both are meant for satisfying Krishna. When householder devotee becomes some devotees perform some Vedic ritualistic duties, they do so to satisfy Krishna. As we have previously discussed, any activity aiming at satisfying the Supreme Person of Godhead is considered as a devotional service. So Srila Rupa Goswami describes one who is fit for becoming engaged in devotion. He says that person who are neophyte and who have developed a little love of Godhead are not interested in activities of sense gratification. So person who are neophyte and who have developed a little love. What is that little love? That is called little love. So to advance in, so there should be some attraction. Okay. So love comes after attraction. Okay, so they God are not interested in activities of sense gratification in proportion to their devotion. This attraction for material activity depends on how much devotional uh, service you have developed, desire you have developed. But if there is some attraction for sense gratifying activity, then the result of such activity should be offered to Krishna. This is called engagement in the service of the Lord, with the Lord as the master and the worker as a servant. Even we want to do some sense gratification, कुछ करना है तो result भगवान को अर्पित करना है. So then again it becomes काम कर्म योग, right? In Narada Puram, there is a statement of how this servitorship is transcendental. It is said there that a person who is constantly engaged in devotional service by his body, mind, and words, or even a person who is not practically engaged but is simply desiring to be so, is considered to be liberated. So if someone is not able to do devotional service, but if they are just desiring, okay, person who is not practically engaged but is simply desiring to be so, is considered to be liberated. So he developed the desire. You know what is today morning one Maharaj has given so nice class. Actually, हमें पैसा मिलेगा क्या मिलेगा, that is not in our control. Only desire is in our control. So that desire we have to direct towards Krishna. Okay, we desire, so we are initiator, Paramatma is sanctioner, and material nature is facilitator. Okay, so we have only one thing is in our control, that is desire, and that is possible when mind is controlled. So this is servitorship. So offering whatever activity we do, result of what activities we do, that is called servitorship. So servant means what? Who does service for someone. Okay, so now devotional service in friendship. Milan Prabhu, please mention. I'll start Bhagavad Gita. Milan Prabhu. Anyway, we'll start Bhagavad Gita around 8:20. So, okay, so devotional service in friendship. So devotional service in friendship can be divided into categories. Anyway, so servitorship, we are discussing this thing. One way to practice devotion is to act in the Lord's servants. Servant has two divisions: karma arpanam, offering one's activity to the Lord. So we directly do direct service to Lord Krishna, and kankaryam, so serving in the mood of personal attendant. So offering one's activity to the Lord, the result we are offering, and serving in the mood of personal attendant, just like a person, someone is massaging the Lord, and someone working outside and result is giving to the Lord. So both are servant. There are two things. So karma arpanam, offering one's activity to the Lord, one can offer two different activities to the Lord. The fruit of one's occupation, the nine main activities of devotional service, there in chanting and remember. So that way he can offer. And service by fruits of prescribed duties, one's own desire to engage in certain activities, the main factor in this type of service. Then secondarily, one offers the result of his activity, of his work to Krishna. The activity comes before the bhakti. In pure devotional service, however, nothing can overshadow bhakti. Therefore, although righteous and purifying, surrendering the fruits of one's occupation duty is not practice of pure devotional service. Service by nine devotional service that you know, Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padaseva. Okay, now anyway, we read this. So we know this thing, Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padaseva. Okay, now the service in friendship. Devotional service in friendship can be divided into two categories. First, to act as a confidential servant of the Lord, and other is to act as a well-wisher of the Lord. So, confidential servant like Uddhava and well-wishers. Devotee who has confidence in the devotional service to the Lord systematically follow the rules and regulations with the faith that he will achieve the platform of transcendental life. So he will become okay. The second type of devotional friendship is to become well-wisher of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in Bhagavad Gita it is said that Lord accepts a preacher as the most dear servant. So anyone who is preaching the confidential message of the Gita to the people in general is dear to Krishna, but no one can be equal to him in human society. So in Mahabharata, Draupadi says, "My dear Govinda, your promise is that your devotee can never be vanquished. I believe in that statement, and therefore in all kind of tribulation, I simply remember your promise and thus I live." Purport is that Draupadi and her Thayo husband, the Pandavas, were put into severe tribulation by their cousin brothers, Duryodhan as well as by cousin brother Duryodhan as well as others. The tribulation was so severe that even Bhismadev, who was both lifelong brahmachari and great warrior, would sometimes shed tears thinking of them. He was always surprised that although the Pandavas were so righteous and Draupadi was practically goddess of fortune, although Krishna was their friend, still they had to undergo such a severe tribulation. So through this, that tribulation were not, though that tribulation was not ordinary, Draupadi was not discouraged. She knew that because Krishna was their friend, ultimately they would be saved. Those who are joined for Bhagavad Gita, I'll start in maybe 8:20 Bhagavad Gita today. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, where Havi is the son of King Rishabh, they address Maharaj. My dear king, a person who never deviates even for a moment from engagement in the service of the lotus feet of the Supreme Person, with a firm conviction that there is nothing more worshipable or desired than this, is called first class devotee. So Rup Goswami says neophyte devotees who has simply developed slight love of God is certainly a prospective candidate for devotional service. When he becomes firmly fixed in such a devotional service, that assured status becomes confidential part of his devotional service. Sometimes it is found that pure devotees lie down in the temple of the Lord in order to serve him as a confidential friend. Such a friendly behavior of a devotee may be accepted as a raganuga or spontaneous. Although according to regulative principle, no one can lie down in the temple of the Supreme Person of Godhead, spontaneous love of God may be grouped under the devotional service and friendship. Let's see if we could be able to complete. So surrendering everything to Lord, Atmanivedam. So in Srimad Bhagavatam it said, a person who has completely surrendered unto me and has completely given up all other activities is protected by me personally, both in this life and the next. In other words, I wish to help him become more and more advanced in spiritual life. Such a person is to be understood as having already achieved Srashti. It is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that as soon as person surrender unto the lotus feet of Krishna, Krishna takes charge of him. Sarva dharman paritachya mahamekam skanam bhajya. Hum sarva papritya moksha shamina. He says that. So it takes charge of him and gives him guarantee of protection from all sinful ways. He also instructs him within so that devotee may quickly make advancement towards spiritual perfection. So he says in Bhagavad Gita. Uh, anyway, he says there, 10th Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita. 10.9 and 10 says, so tesam satyate yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam priti. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Okay, hope I think all of you are. I can continue with this thing. Nectar of devotion. Okay. So this self-surrender is called Atma Nivedana. And according to different authorities, self is differently defined. Self is sometimes considered. So in Bhagavad Gita, sometimes Atma Sabda is used for body, mind, sometimes used for body, sometimes used for mind, sometimes used for soul. So that is what is mentioned. According to different authorities, self is differently defined. Self is sometimes considered to refer to spirit self or soul. Self is sometimes considered to refer to the mind, okay, or the body. So full self and surrender therefore means not only surrendering oneself as a spirit soul, but also surrendering one's body and mind. So surrender tan, man, and dhan to the service of the Lord. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung a nice song in this connection. While offering himself as a fully surrendered soul, he said, my mind, my household affair, my body, whatever is in my possession, my dear Lord, I offer to you for your service. Now you can do with them as you like. You are the supreme possessor of everything. So if you like, you can kill me, or if you like, you can give me protection. All authority belong to you. I have nothing to claim as my own self. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Anukulya Sankalpa. So it is Anukulasya Sankalpa Pratikulasya Varjanam Rakshasyati iti Viswaso Gopta Tripya Varnanam Tatha Atmanikshepa Karpanya Sadvida Saranagati. So these are the 6 principles of Saranagati, the 6 divisions of surrender are acceptance of those favorable to devotional service, rejection of unfavorable things, conviction that Krishna will give protection, the acceptance of the Lord as one's guardian or master, and full self-surrender and humility. So these are 6 stages of surrender. Okay, so this is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. So Yamnachari in his prayer to the Lord has expressed a similar idea in the following: My dear Lord, I may be living within some body as a human being or as demigod, but whatever mode of life I do not mind, because these bodies are simply byproducts of three modes of material nature. I, who am in the possession of this body, am surrendering myself unto you. In Hari Bhakti Vivek, there is a statement how one can offer his body in self-surrender. So the devotee says, My dear Lord, as a salt animal, has no need to think about its maintenance and sustenance. So because I have given up my body and soul unto you, I am no longer concerned with my maintenance and sustenance. So in other words, one should not bother about his personal or familial maintenance or sustenance. If one is actually surrendering the body and soul, he should always remember that his only concern is to engage in the service of the Lord. We should have that faith. So devotion period and friendship and devotional and self-surrender are two difficult process. Therefore, such a relationship with the Lord can very rarely be seen. Only for advanced devotee are these two processes very easily executed. The purport is that it is very rare to see surrender that is mixed with sincere ecstatic devotion. One must give himself completely to the will of Lord. So now offering favorite articles. Since in 11 cantos Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna tells Uddhava, my dear friend, if someone offer me the best thing in his possession or anything which is very pleasing to him, he will be eternally benefited. So now all of you. So performing all endeavors for Krishna. So in Narad Panchvetra, so it is said how one can act in all sphere of life for the satisfaction of the Lord. It is stated there that person who is actually in devotional service must be engaged in all kind of activities. Those prescribed in the revealed scripture and also those that are accepted for livelihood. In other words, not only should a devotee engage himself in prescribed duties of devotional service that are mentioned in the revealed scripture, but he should also perform the duties of the practical life in Krishna consciousness. For example, devotee who has a great establishment or factory may offer the fruits of such a material position for the service of the Lord. Okay, last two are right there. I'll finish that, then I'll start Bhagavad Gita, if you permit me. So, my dear Lord, a person who has surrendered himself unto you, he is in firm conviction that is that he is yours, who actually acts in that way by his body, mind, and words, can actually release transcendental bliss. In Narsimha Purana, anyone who prays unto me and takes shelter from me becomes my ward, and I protect him always from all sort of calamities. Serving trees such as the Tulsi. In Skandapuram, there is a statement praising Tulsi tree as follows. Let me offer my respectful obeisance unto the Tulsi tree, which can immediately vanquish volume of sinful activity. So just by offering obeisance to Tulsi Maharani, we can be free from the volumes of sinful activity. So that's what we sing every morning in Tulsi Aarti, Yani Tani Chapapani, Brahmatyadi Tani Cha, Tani Tani Prasanti Pradakshina. Yani Tani Chapapani, whatever kind of sinful activities we might have performed, including Brahmahatya. When someone has performed the sinful activity of killing Brahmana, then what he says next time, Tani Tani Pranasanti. All these papas will be Pranasanti, will go destroyed. How? Pradakshina Pade Pade. By while performing Pradakshina to Tulsi Maharani, every step, all the reactions are diminishing. Okay. When that is offering the obeisance, volumes of simple activities will go away. Simply by seeing or touching this tree, one can become relieved from the distress and disease. That's why when in the morning we offer water, we pour the water in Tulsi Mara and we touch the Tulsi Mara, leaf of the Tulsi Mara. So by touching or seeing, one become relieved from all distress and disease. Simply by offering obeisance to and pouring water onto the Tulsi tree, one can become free from the fear and being sent to the court of Yamraj. If someone sows the tulsi tree somewhere, certainly he becomes devoted to Lord Krishna. If he just plant tulsi plant somewhere, he become devoted to Krishna. I remember when I was like child, बच्चे थे तो हमें सब करवाते थे घर पे खेती में. And when the tulsi leaves are offered in devotion at the lotus feet of Krishna, there is a full development of love of God. So yesterday we saw one aspect that offering some service to deity. There it was written that when someone comes to temple, we should not go empty hand. At least we should take some little fruit, water, or flower, or leaf. So what is the best thing to offer to Lord is tulsi. So if you offer anything, if there is fruit, Lord will take as an offense. But if you offer tulsi leaf, it can fulfill everything, compensate everything just by putting tulsi leaf. Okay. So we can take this tulsi leaf. So in India, all Hindus, even those not belong to Vaishnava group, take special care of tulsi trees. So गांव में जाओगे तो रहता है tulsi. Even in a great cities where it is very difficult to keep tulsi tree, people are to be found very carefully keeping this plant. They water it and offer obeisance to it because worship of the tulsi tree is very important in devotional service. So in Skanda Puran, there is another statement about tulsi as follows: Tulsi is auspicious in all respect, simply by seeing, simply by touching, simply by remembering, simply by praying to, simply by bowing before, simply by hearing about, or simply by sowing this tree. There is always auspiciousness. Anyone who comes in touch with tulsi tree in the above mentioned way lives eternally in the Vaikuntha. Okay, so anyway, I could have explained this servitorship and friendship much better, but I could not because of lack of time and all. Somewhere, if I found, I'll definitely discuss. So we saw this friendship. So another way of practice devotional service is to serve the Lord as a friend. Okay. There are two types of friend: well-wishing friend, a senior, and confidential friend, a peer. So senior friends are sometimes we have some elder people, but they act as a friend. They are well-wishing friend. So Lord Krishna is my well-wisher, so well-wishing friend, a senior. So one item of sadhana bhakti is to treat Lord as one's ever protective, well-wishing friend. We consider that he is protector of her, our protector is well-wisher. Draupadi had this kind of friendship with the Lord Krishna. She depended on his protection and blessings. Then another is, I am Lord Krishna's well-wisher. First is the Lord Krishna is our well-wisher, and another is, I am Lord Krishna's well-wisher. So Srila Prabhupada mentioned that one who preach on behalf of Krishna is actually the well-wisher of the world, well-wisher of the Lord. For a desire to increase Lord Krishna's service and pleasure, thus preaching is also one advanced way of practicing friendship with Lord Krishna. So if some of you want to become friend of Lord Krishna, then please preach. So then confidential peers. So at advanced stage, devotee may begin to serve the Lord very intimately, like well-wisher like Nanda Maharaj, foregoing formalities and pleasing the Lord very spontaneously as if they were friend on equal level. Sometimes it is found that a pure devotee lies down in the temple of the Lord in order to submit the complex. So the second part of both the servitude are in the realm of Rag. There are two types of surrendership, Atma Nivedanam, self-surrender, two types of self-surrender. So one is surrendering, depending on its context, self-different meaning. Okay, so two aspects: surrendering of the body, mind, and surrendering of the soul. Sometimes people surrender the activity and all. So we discussed one should surrender unto Lord Krishna the things we hold most dear. This item also implies that one should give up Lord Krishna. One should give Lord Krishna the things most dear to him. Another is one should surrender his entire daily works and duty, doubting them in Lord Krishna's service. Just like Srila Prabhupada did it. Who did that? I forgot. Jatayu. Okay, Tulsi Sevanam, serving Tulsi plants. We discussed this thing. Okay, so we'll discuss others tomorrow. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. What should I do? Shall I continue with Bhagavad Gita today?
Yes.
Let me ask everyone. Yeah, I will definitely do. No problem. And you have to give me 2 minutes, please. Okay. Okay, so I completed 10 and 11 chapter today. So we'll continue with 12 and 13 tomorrow. Okay, give me 2 minutes. Huh? Aman Prabhu, can you please start with the prayers? Hare Krishna, Aman Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं